If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson drives for every dime.
Welcome to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Simply the Law of Life provides free legal advice and encourages happiness and quality of life. Now, here's Simply the Law of Life with Gary C. Johnson and Keith Casebolt.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Simply the Law of Life radio program. I'm Keith Casebolt. Hello, dear friend, Gary C. Johnson, the creator.
Wonderful to be here. Wonderful to be alive.
Isn't it, though?
It's just wonderful, I'm telling you.
You know,
today we are going to talk a little bit about fear.
Something that we're trying to get rid of and get over.
To stop that voice in our head from making us afraid of everything.
Oh, listen. Yeah, I've had those fears. My biggest one was the fear of flying, which you have helped me get over. Thank you, my friend.
You're very welcome.
Because I apply your law to it that you've given me. It's a little secret that Gary gave me a little thought to put in my head before I fly. It has worked wonders.
But there's this little book, Max Lucado, Fearless, and it says, imagine your life without fear, and we opened it up and it come to a page automatically, so I will read you what it has to say.
I'm really liking your method. For those of you that have seen the television show, Gary's used several different books, and he just grabs the book and opens it, and he goes, all right, Keith, there it is. That's what we need to talk about. And it has worked almost every time that you've done it.
Well, it's as good a way as any. I didn't have any darts to throw, so.
Scientific's what it is.
This section, when we pull this book up, and this little chapter on fear of global disaster.
Which is all over the news.
Which all over the news because
it
sells, makes people watch so that they can sell commercials.
Yeah.
Now, this is what he says. I could do without the pharmaceutical warnings. I understand their purpose, mind you. Medical manufacturers must caution against every potential tragedy so that when we take their pill and grow a third arm or turn green, we can't sue them. I get that. Still, there is something about the merger of happy faces with voiceover advisories of paralysis that just doesn't work. You know, they got these warnings about all these things, and they got these people smiling and jumping and skipping.
Yeah. And listen, we see those all the time. The people are smiling, but the whole time they're telling you it could make you deathly ill. It could kill you. Make sure you tell your doctor you want it.
Mm-hmm. Then he goes on. It gets neat to the reason I'm reading this. Let's hope this practice of total disclosure doesn't spill over into the delivery room. Okay? It might. After all, about to be born babies need to know what they're getting into. Pre-birth warnings could likely become standard maternity ward procedure. Can you imagine the scene? A lawyer stands at a woman's bedside. She's panting Lamaze breaths between contraction. He's reading the fine print of a contract in the direction of her belly. And this is what he's reading. Okay? Welcome to the post-umbilical cord world. Be advised, however, that human life has been known in most cases to result in death. Some individuals have reported experiences with lethal viruses, chemical agents, and or bloodthirsty tourists.
You've already scared the kid not to come out.
Yeah. Birth could also result in fatal encounters with tsunamis, inebriated pilots, road rage, famine, nuclear disaster, and or PMS. Be warned, child. Side effects of living include superviruses, heart disease, and final exams. Human life is not recommended for anyone who cannot share a planet with evil despots or survive a flight on an airplane food. I just thought that was cute.
That It is cute, and isn't it so true? The difference in looking at the magic of life. You just started off this program with, "Isn't it great to be alive?" And then you read that, and here's the disclaimer on the post-umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Here's what you're facing.
Here's what you're getting ready to get into, oh boy.
If you want to come and join us on this planet, Gary, it shouldn't be that way. It should be just the opposite.
Well, when you think about all of those things there,
Mm-hmm.
and you take them into account, life is a wonderful thing to have. And it's a wonderful thing to enjoy and be. It is well worth the risk, is the point I'm making.
Yes. To enter in.
Indeed.
You know, you and I, when we stepped into the studio, we always catch up over the weekend and talk about things we were doing. And we spent a good 15 or 20 minutes just laughing. Laughing about life, laughing about encounters, laughing about things that you come in contact with. And these are things that some time ago I could be coming in here and telling you what a problem or how distressed, and instead it turns out to be the enjoyment of life.
Actually, Keith, it's been probably 2 or 3 years since you've brought a problem in.
Yeah. You know, that's because you've showed me that everything's an opportunity, and it's not really a problem. And by learning some of the things, and oh my goodness, my wish for everyone listening to this program or anyone that watches your television show is that they would embrace the things that you're talking about, because it feels a lot better to smile and laugh than it does to be sad.
Well, just think about it. You see someone smiling, but not ugly.
Oh, no. No.
They're very attractive, in fact.
And listen, that's the people you want to be with, that are laughing and joking and having a good time.
You see someone frowning, they could be a model, and you want to get away from them.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. Happiness is contagious. Misery is even more contagious.
Now, there's a law of life, if ever there was one. Both of them are contagious.
Mm-hmm.
And what was it, years ago you came out and you were giving our friends permission to walk away from certain people. You said, if you've got somebody bringing you down constantly, I'm giving you the permission to walk away from them.
If you have anyone, my friends that are listening, in your life that is belittling you and making you feel that you aren't worthy,
Mm-hmm.
if you can, get away from them. Because the people in your life need to be building you up, making you happy, making you understand your true worth, and just enjoying having you with them. Now, that's what it was meant to be.
From the get-go, yeah.
So, my friends, seriously, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, plot, plan, sneak, do whatever you have to do.
Under the cover of night, if you have
That's
to.
right. If someone is belittling you and making you feel you're not worthy, get away. Cut those ties. Because there are people out there that will recognize your worth,
Mm-hmm.
that will recognize that you're equal to them, that will recognize that you have a talent, that will recognize that you're special, and you will then have a really good shot at some peace and happiness.
And who on earth wouldn't want those things said to them? I mean, any of us. Who doesn't want to be told the things you just said?
That little voice in your mind may say to you, well, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because of, you can't, because of, you can't, because of. Say to it and give it a name. Say, I hear all of those things you're saying. Now help me figure out a way to get around that.
What if, two great words, what if we tried this? Or what if we did this? Do you still feel that way?
Yeah.
And the voice will say, well, maybe I didn't think about that.
And then say to the voice, obviously you're pretty smart to be telling me all this stuff, so now help me figure out a way out of this mess.
You've got all
obviously you helped me get in it.
Yeah, you've got all this advice. How about giving me some good advice?
Yeah.
You and I were talking again before we went on the air, and you said it's amazing when I go out, you were telling me, when you go out for a walk, you were like constantly, my voice is saying, we can solve this problem. Here's something that, we need to think about on this case. And you were telling me while you were taking this 2-mile walk every morning that the voice was helping you in cases that you've got in the office. It was telling you about angles, and you were like, it's like I've got this whole team right here in my head just helping me.
And it's amazing, but it's helping me figure out where the problems are that I have to deal with in a case, whatever. And it's amazing how just that voice and the thinking in my mind has kept me from getting blindsided 1,000 times.
But here's the thing that amazes me about it, Gary. The voice isn't sitting there saying, oh, boy, you've got a big obstacle or you've got a big problem in this case. The voice is sitting there going, I've got some ideas on how we can handle this. The voice is giving you advice, and it's saying, did you think about this? Did you look at this?
But you have to realize, Keith, maybe I've trained my voice over the years because I've never been willing to entertain negative thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
I've never really let the other side of the voice in my head do those things that we're talking about. And it's become nothing but a workhorse for me.
Would it be safe to say that you've been too busy working with the positive voice that you just haven't had time for the negative voice?
Well, I refuse to listen to it.
Because you're too busy over here.
That's right. Don't have time for it.
So, in essence, when we're busy doing something, we never hear the negative voice.
That's right. And when you're accomplishing something, you don't. And when you've done a really good job and you sat around and you're feeling so good about yourself, you don't hear the negative voice.
I'm thinking back to your Dale Carnegie book. There was a chapter in there, if you recall, the lady's son had gone off to the war, and she was worrying herself to death about he was going to get killed in the war, and she had lost weight, and she couldn't sleep, she couldn't do anything, and she went to the doctor, and the doctor told her to get a job and then to get a part-time job after the full-time job. And the lady went to work, and she worked one 8-hour shift and then another 6-hour shift. She came back in a couple of months later. She had gained weight. She was happy. All of her worries had disappeared because she was so busy producing things.
And that's the key to it. Worry will absolutely drag you down to nothing. How many times have I said on this show, if you can change something, worry about it in a constructive manner and figure out how to change it. If you can't change it, don't give it 1 second of your time, ever.
Now, does that apply to people?
Same way with people. If you can't change them, don't give them 1 second of your time because it's just a total waste. And trust me, you don't marry somebody to change them.
And that's probably the biggest mistake we make, isn't it? We're trying to change somebody into being somebody they're not.
Just remember, and I'll say this, said it before, you are responsible for you.
And that's a big job.
That's a big deal. Big deal.
Yeah.
You are responsible for your happiness. You are responsible for your well-being. You have the personal responsibility to take care of you. Now, if someone is dragging you down and making you feel worthless and not needed and not appreciated, then go get with somebody that will make you feel appreciated and worth something, because you are worth something.
And that's from friends to workplace to everybody around you, church, whatever, right?
Well, if you have to have the job, and you may have to put up with that, But try, if it's happening to you at work, try to be there. Try to make the absolute most out of it that you can possibly be. Change your attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And choose. Just make a choice. I'm not going to look at this negative anymore. I'm going to figure out a way to look at it positive.
You know, I thought about you when I had to take a flight a couple of weeks ago. When the stewardess was giving the instructions, what's the first thing they tell you about if the oxygen falls down? Make sure you put it on yourself and secure it first before you try to help anybody else. And I was thinking about your teachings because that's what they're telling you on the plane. You've got to make sure you're taken care of first before you can help anybody.
And until you can secure for yourself some happiness, you can't lead anyone else into it.
There is no way.
It's impossible.
It is impossible.
So remember, folks, you are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of a kind. There will never in eternity be another one like you, ever. You're unique beyond any imagination that you could ever have. And don't ever let anyone make you feel that you aren't.
You know, when I hear you talk and I listen to you, trust me, and I write down the things you say, I find it utterly amazing that anyone could let somebody else make them feel unworthy.
Well, at some point in your life, Keith, you probably have been there.
Been there. Oh, my friend, I was not only there, I was down in the trenches. I was the poster child. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, now that I've learned and I've listened and I've gotten older, you know, what hair I got's left is white. But now that I've got to this stage in my life, I look back and think, how on earth did I ever believe those things?
I got held back probably in law on my own self, by myself, doing it to myself. Probably for 4 or 5 years after I got out of law school, as far as going forward and doing what I could do. Because this lawyer, who was a really good trial lawyer, came into our senior class and gave a demonstration of a closing argument. And it was so brilliant that old dummy here realized he could never do that.
You thought, how am I ever going to match that?
Yeah. And looking back on it in hindsight, it wasn't that good after all.
Well,
there's all kinds of points he missed now that I think about it, but I didn't know that.
You were young and inexperienced.
Yeah.
So now at this stage of your life, you look back and go, well, it wasn't a very good.
It was very flowery and very vocal, but it didn't.
It didn't prove the point.
I'd say he didn't win. I said it that way.
Isn't that amazing what knowledge will do for you?
But because of that, it made me think in my mind at that point in time in my life that I couldn't do that.
So
that I couldn't reach that level of.
We started out talking about fearless. You had the fear. You had the fear at that point of saying, will I ever be able to do what this gentleman just did?
And then out of necessity, I went out and did it and realized it wasn't no big deal.
It's amazing what necessity will do for you, isn't it?
The necessity is the mother of getting rid of all fear.
Yeah, they normally say the mother of all inventions, but you're right. It's the mother of getting rid of all fear instead of inventions, because when it's necessary, you remember when we were kids?
You will rise to the occasion.
You remember when we were kids and you'd played all day and you were walking up the holler to the house and you were so tired and you couldn't put one foot in front of the other, and then the neighbor's old dog that would bite would run out and come after you, and bam, you took off flying. And you were like, oh, I couldn't put another foot in front of me. But when old Rover came after you, Yeah, you found the energy.
That's right.
That's what necessity is, isn't it?
And truly, necessity is the mother of all invention. I think that's true. That it's also the mother of a lot of things.
Had there been no problems in life, and you started talking about the post-umbilical cord, without any problems in life, we would have never had the things that we have now.
Well, you look at the areas in the world where that you had bountiful game and food and climate. Technologically, over the evolution, they didn't advance.
There is no need.
It was the countries and the parts of the world where they had harsh climates, where they had to figure out ways to get food that wasn't necessarily available. Those areas advanced. And that goes back to necessity. You know, if everything was handed to us on a silver platter, we would probably get fat. We would ruin our health. We would eat all of that bad food. And eventually we would kill ourselves with gluttony simply because it was too easy for us.
So if we were all raised in the Garden of Eden, what is the motivation to do anything? You've got everything around you. You've got all the food you want. You've got everything handed to you.
And you know, and when God did the Garden of Eden, he looked at it, he said, this ain't going to work.
Got to have a little snake come in here,
right?
So we can get some action going on this planet. Otherwise,
we got to give people a reason to live.
Yeah. It is amazing when you think about it. But in what you're pointing out to us is obstacles and problems and challenges are the way that we grow. That's how we improve in life.
And embracing each and every one of those with a really positive attitude as an opportunity is the key to peace of mind. You will not have peace of mind if you don't do that. If you keep looking at everything that comes your way as a problem, then you will be miserable.
Gary, have you taken all this from your clients? Because you've told me, you've said, Keith, I've got clients that have been horribly injured, had things happen to them, and they're the most powerful people. They're the most positive people. And they embrace the reverence for life. Is that where you've gotten this attitude from?
Went to the home of a potential client over the weekend. And if you wanted to have the definition of poverty, you could go open a dictionary and our picture would be there. I mean, truly, nothing. And when we left, Anita said to me, she said, Gary, they're happy.
So they were rich, wealthy with happiness.
Yeah. Because there's two people, they had each other. And it was obviously they doted on each other. And they had nothing. But they were happy. And they're probably some of the richest people I've ever been in a home. Because they had the true richness that mattered, the true happiness.
And they understood it. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lesson for all of us.
So it doesn't matter what you have. It doesn't matter the possessions you have. You can still be happy. And once you understand that, it becomes a choice. My friends, I beg you, make the choice to be happy.
Yeah. You and I talked about this on your television program the other night, where you said, look, I've developed this judo law method. I'm really good at getting people money. But what I realized is people need to be happy. And that's one of the reasons you've done this radio program and you do the television program, is to talk to people about being happy with what you've got.
Over the years, I thought, well, if I just get these people money, that I will have made a big difference in their life. I will have changed their lives.
You have done your job.
And to a certain extent, that's true. But then I realized that's not enough. I need to try to help them, if they will let me, understand that they can be happy. And that money is just a tool to make things a little easier in life. But it's not the thing that's going to make them happy.
I like how you put that. The money is only a tool. It's only a tool that you can use for happiness.
Happiness comes from your state of mind. It's a choice, my friends. Choose to be happy. Choose to be positive. Choose to look at everything as an opportunity instead of a problem. It's a choice you can make. Try it. What have you got to lose, my friends? Let me ask you, what have you got to lose to choose to be happy instead of miserable? Nothing.
Yeah. If you contact Gary at GaryCJohnson.com and you say, hey, I tried it, it didn't work, I'm still miserable. Okay, you gave it a shot.
So you're right where you started from.
But if you contact him and say, hey, Gary, guess what? I'm applying the laws of life that you're teaching, and it's working, and I'm happier, boy, we would really like to hear that email.
Because in the end, my friends, that's the only thing that matters, is how do you enjoy that dash and live it.
And from the start of this program, don't worry about the post-umbilical cord warnings. Life is worth living, and it's good to be alive. My friend, thank you. Great lesson. You can catch Gary's television program Tuesday nights on WYMT, Simply the Law of Life, 7 p.m. A late-night replay is in Central Kentucky on your CBS affiliate, WKYT. If you start the week early or start the weekend early, you can catch us on the Fox affiliate early in the morning, about 6:30 a.m., to start the week or the weekend. And if you'd like to share a comment or get in touch with Gary, Gary at GaryCJohnson.com. My friend, again today we did a lot of laughing, a lot of talking, and a little bit more living.
Isn't it wonderful?
It is indeed. And the most wonderful thing is that you took time out to share it with us. On behalf of Gary C. Johnson, I'm Keith Casebolt. As always, Gary and I look forward to seeing you again next week at this same time.
Thank you for listening to Simply the Law of Life, a program created by attorney Gary C. Johnson. Until next week, may you be safe, blessed, and happy.
If you're hurt, injured, don't waste time. Gary Johnson cries for every dime.